Hi. So your team just upgraded to React 19. Congratulations. The PR got merged. Everything is green, but your app, it still looks the same. Same use effect, data fetching everywhere. So what actually changed? You are thinking probably nothing. Let me show you something. So right now, if you look at user profile, you will see that we are doing what normally React code bases show us. For fetching the user, we use a use effect with a get user, and then we set that user. If the user is null, we are showing a loading state. Then we are showing otherwise we are showing the username. If I refresh the page, you will see for a slight second it shows loading, and then we see lean gram as the username. But this also works with React 18, React 17. It's the same code base. This works, but React 19 was designed to avoid this sort of pattern. So how can we fix it? Here is the problem. When the team upgrades React, it usually updates the dependency to, for example, from 18 to 19, but not the patterns. The, there are always two parts for an upgrade: updating the dependency, which is the version itself, and second, adopting the new patterns. Most teams only do the first. Here is the same component using React 19. So what we can do is here, so I can get rid all of this. I can start fresh. What I can do is I can create a user promise, which is the get user, sorry, get user. And instead of and what we can do is use suspense, which is relatively new to React 19. And here we can use a fallback, which will be called when the suspense is loading. So here I can do is I can say a diff with a loading state that while the suspense is running, it will show the loading state. And in this, I can create a new component, which is, for example, user profile content. And I will pass the user promise to it. User promise, user promise to it. Now we can, it's, of course, you will get error that user profile content doesn't exist. So we can create a function which we can name user profile content. And in this, we can pass user promise itself. And in this function, what we can do is instead of using use state, sorry, we can directly use use keyword, and we will pass user promise to it. User promise. And in the return, what I can do is I can set a sorry, div, and I can use user.name to it. And if I save it, you will see that it does exactly the same, but it's quite clean as compared to what we were doing previously. And this is something newer that you can do with React 19. So as you can see, that we are not using use state anymore. We are for showing the loading and everything. We are not using use effect to fetch the user. The components just reads the data. Let me show you another example which I have already created for you. I will not jump into most of it, but here you can see I can first import the sign up form. Here I can comment out the user profile. So in the sign up form, you can see that we have a use state with a loading state, and when the user there is an input. When the user submits the data by click on the button, it calls on submit, which which is doing what normally all the React code bases do, is set the loading state, fetching the form data, passing it to an API, and then set loading to false. So if I do something like test at test.com, I click on the sign up button. You can see that after a couple of seconds, I get a console message user signed up test at test.com. But things here can get much more improved. What I can do is I can now remove this all code and show you how much better it can be done using React 19. So now you can see that I have changed the sign up form again. So here what we can do is we have a function which is a form action submit. It's only using await sign up form data, and I have created a submit button separately, which is using use form status API from React 19, and I am importing the pending state here. So instead of now, if I do the same thing again, test.com, it's showing the loading state, and you can see that there is an update on user sign up test at test.com. So it does exactly the same, but instead of using all the hectic use effects everywhere, it simplifies all of these things. So why don't team do this? There are three simple reasons. The old code works, nothing to change there. The new patterns usually feel a lot a little bit a riskier side that if it will work or not. And React update doesn't forces you to change anything. The backward compare the backward sorry the backward compatibility uh, allows you to maintain the same code base that you were previously maintaining. So there is no reason to change it. So the team stop when it compiles. There if there is anything unnecessarily getting broke when you update the version, then probably teams start to dig deep into the problem and then solve it. But otherwise, when React allows it or any other library allows it, you people don't usually update it. So what to do instead? If you actually want to benefit from the upgrade, don't rewrite everything at the beginning. Always start with the painful components, the components which, for example, have a lot of use effects. Uh, you can add suspense at the page level, similar to what I did in the user profile. In the main user profile, I did a suspense, and inside the main component is being catered. So, and refactor during the feature work. So, don't create a whole repository for a migration and update everything in at once. When you are working on a feature and feels like that, okay, this component should be updated, or uh, you can say that it can be improved or refactored better, then you can at that point of time you can okay create fix this or make and refactor the component at that time. Don't do it while you are for example migrating from a previous version to a newer version. So here is the takeaway: upgrading React doesn't improve your code, as you can see. However, how you use React, it does. If your app looks the same after upgrade, you didn't upgrade, you just updated the dependency. So yeah, if you want more practical advices related to web development, React, click like, share or subscribe, or add a comment down below if you want a video about a certain topic that you find interesting, or maybe I also find interesting so I can create a video about that as well. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.